I invited a homeless person to a house party, and I paid the price for it, literally. Last night I convinced a random homeless man to come with me to a house party. I was very high when I made this decision. The house party was also a costume party. I had an extra costume, but not an extra person. So stoned me was like, why not go out and find an extra person? The homeless man in my street was at the top of my list of potential candidates. I approached him and asked if he was keen to go to a house party dressed as a stormtrooper. He asked if there would be food. I said yes, and alcohol. The homeless man was in. We showed up at the house party together. I was dressed as Jesus. White robe, crown of thorns, hippie hair, you know, the conventional version. The homeless man was dressed from head to toe as an average stormtrooper. I encouraged him to avoid removing his helmet and drawing too much attention. A suggestion, not an instruction. I didn't keep an eye on the homeless man for the entire night. He did his thing. I did mine. From time to time I caught him low-key lifting his helmet above his mouth to eat or drink when he thought no one was watching. Seeing that convinced me that I did the right thing. The homeless man was having a good time, and my stormtrooper costume did not go to waste. A win-win. Like I said, I was high. If you're reading this, something went wrong. I found out when it was too late that another person at the party was also wearing a stormtrooper costume. That stormtrooper was at the party with his GF, who at some point confused the two stormtroopers and ended up grinding dancing with the homeless stormtrooper. The BF stormtrooper noticed his GF enthusiastically rubbing her butt on another person's crotch and wasted zero time introducing his fist to that recipe. I was not there to witness what happened in person, and even if I were, I doubt I would have been sober enough to realize what was going on. I've heard more than one version of the story. Some say the two stormtroopers fought each other until the unknown stormtrooper lost the fight and ran away. Others say the unknown stormtrooper won the fight and then ran away. That being said, everyone agreed that one of the stormtroopers did indeed run away. No one knows it was my stormtrooper who ran away with my costume. I really like that costume. Now I might never see it again. Update. I never thought I would see the homeless man or my stormtrooper costume again, but I did. Yesterday, years later, I was walking in the park, as one does, with a girl. We were on our second date. Things were going well until a fucking clone of Tom Hanks in Castaway appeared out of nowhere and surprised us. I didn't know who the guy was or what he wanted until he pointed at himself and repeatedly said Star Wars enough times for me to finally be like, no fucking way, it's the homeless stormtrooper. As soon as the homeless stormtrooper noticed my confusion turn into realization, he unexpectedly closed the gap between us and gave me a bro hug like we were buddies. It was awkward, but I allowed it because I kind of felt guilty for how things turned out the last time he saw me. I introduced my date to the homeless stormtrooper and explained to her how we knew each other. The homeless stormtrooper encouraged us to follow him to his tent so we could see that he still had the stormtrooper costume. I pointed out the time and explained to the homeless stormtrooper that we were on our way to see the new Fantastic Four movie and we didn't want to be late. My date responded and said we still had loads of time before the movie begins, which prompted the homeless stormtrooper to lead us to his tent. The homeless stormtrooper entered his tent alone and came out like 3 minutes later wearing the stormtrooper costume. My date was impressed. I did my best to match her energy, but all I could think about was not missing the movie. The homeless stormtrooper disappeared into the tent again before reappearing with a skateboard and doing tricks for us. My date, who seemed to have forgotten we were supposed to be bonding and shit, took her phone out and proceeded to film the homeless stormtrooper for her TikTok or whatever. Meanwhile, another person emerged from the tent. I kid you not, this person looked identical to the homeless stormtrooper. I didn't ask, but I figured they were twins. The homeless twin approached me and offered to sell me condoms. The guy lifted his shirt and revealed a fucking belt made of condoms strapped to his waist. I said no thank you, but he refused to take no for an answer, saying that he could tell what size condom I used just by shaking my hand, which made no fucking sense to me. My date overheard this shit and encouraged me to shake hands with the homeless twin. To please my date, I played along and shook the dude's hand. Needless to say, it was no ordinary handshake. The homeless twin didn't let go of my hand for at least 30 seconds before pointing at one of the condoms on his belt and saying, regular. My date asked me if that was accurate. I was like, what are the odds of me being average like most people on Earth? My sarcasm didn't land, and I ended up paying the homeless twin for his overpriced and expired condoms just to make him leave me alone. I was just about to inform my date that it was time for us to go, but then the homeless stormtrooper fell off his skateboard. After helping him get back on his feet and making sure he was 100% okay, I gave him some money and said goodbye. We were late for the movie, which I had already paid for, so I had to book another time slot and pay again for both me and my date. In other words, I paid twice the price, twice, for an IMAX show in 3D, which is not cheap. On top of that, I had to pay a condom whisperer for prehistoric condoms and a skateboarding cosplayer for existing, I guess. Weirdest and most expensive second date of my life so far.